All right, here we are. The Amnam. Anyone know where that is?
Yeah, it's
Page.
Which
at the top of the page.
I know that.
Right?
The Amnam, Inyan Hashlita.
308 at the
Up
top.
the page.
308 on the top. There we go. All right, Lynn, we're on 580. we are way ahead. Yeah, Lynn and I have the same book. So. Oh, Michelle, nice to have you. All right, here we go. Okay, so
I like Michelle.
that's great to know.
Sorry.
The Amnam. Inyan Hashlita. Yeah, no one else gets that. Inyan Hashlita Hazais Sheshaltim Koichet Se'ela B'Laila. This idea of the power, the jurisdiction that the evil, the tumah, the impurity, all of that we said has its time to manifest in the world, and we said that is primarily relegated to the night and specifically to the first half of the night, because as we learned last time, once midnight comes, then that already starts dissipating, and the powers of tahara, of purity, of goodness, and all that begins the process of coming back into the world. And by the time morning comes, it's in full force. So he's said that the world has been split into these times in order to give each of the powers, the good and the bad, the pure and the impure and all that, to give them each their time to present themselves in the world and to manifest. And he explained that Hashem set up the world that people should generally be at home, be sleeping, not interacting with anything, really, and therefore be more protected and less affected by, protected from and less affected by the powers of Tumah and evil. So, the Ramchal is now explaining that this power that it has, Balayla at night, Gershom Shen Nigrashim B'yayim, and the fact that they are pushed out and sent away during the day, Hinehu Davar Mechukok B'Teva Olam Star. This is a concept which has been etched into the nature of the world, so to speak, the setup, the design of the world, and the systems that the world functions with. Zula Shashlita V'Achna Shemagasla B'Maaseh Adam, and this is not including, except for the ability of the good and the evil to manifest and to grow or shrink based on the actions of man. So what does this mean? So we had mentioned way back in the beginning of this Sefer that the primary ability for good and evil to manifest is based on the actions of mankind. The more goodness we connect with, the more goodness is able to come down into the world. The more evil we connect with, the more the evil comes down into the world. But Ramchal is saying here that there is a almost like a platform for that, and that is that Hashem designated that each will have their time, and that's regardless of man's actions. So there's a baseline of where good and evil present into the world, and that baseline is essentially night and day. And our actions are then able to feed into that. So the goodness that we do will affect the goodness that happens during the day, and the evil that we connect with will have its effect during the night, and the evil that we stay away from will minimize the effects of the night, and the goodness that we stay away from will minimize the effects of the goodness during the day. So this is Shashira HaChachma HaAlyona, that Hashem's divine wisdom has ascertained, that to have the true balance of good and evil present in the world, which is what comes from the actions of people who have free will. So the world in its natural state needs to have it has to be capable of having this evil within it. In a way, that there will be the ability for this evil to spread within certain parts of the world, just like there will be the inability for it to spread in other parts of the world. So what he's saying is that, like we've kind of prefaced, that the world had to be designed in a way that it's capable of handling the evil and the goodness in its appropriate times. So yes, it does primarily reflect our deeds. Nevertheless, it has to have the capacity. So in order to have that capacity, the world has to have a baseline of being able to handle good and evil. And that is, again, as we've said, is split between night and day. And because it has that capacity, because it's naturally able to have good and bad in it, so then our actions are able to manifest and affect it, etc., etc.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since people now more sleep after midnight than before midnight, could that possibly affect when Hashem puts the evil more intensely?
No, I don't know. He hasn't said anything about that. I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. Okay. However, as this works, so Hashem's divine wisdom decreed that it is appropriate that there should be within time itself a section that is given this ability for, here he's talking about the evil, to be manifest and to spread in and of itself. Meaning that there should be a natural split in the world, and that split shouldn't just be by location or person or anything like that, but it should be within time itself. The time itself should be split between these two factions. And this vine that everybody just missed is a preparation. Sure.
I'm not thirsty.
Stop it. All your excuses. Not thirsty. Well, this is what gives the ability for the actions of man to take place. Meaning to say, in order for our things that we do, that we think, that we say, in order for all of that to be effective, to have its effect in the world, there has to be separate opportunities. There have to be separate times, the way Hashem designed it, in order for each of them to have their stage, so to speak, that they can act. So when we do good things, so all those good things are going to kind of build up and affect the good time, and they will work to counteract the bad time. And when we do bad things, that will build up, again, to affect the bad time and to counteract the good time. So each of these needs to have its own realm, its own time, its own space, and this way the things that we do can affect it when it is appropriate. So I think it seems to be somewhat repetitive. I think what he's getting at over here, that he's trying to prove, is that it's not that this split is a contradiction to what he had said earlier. When he said earlier that the good and the bad is largely reflective of mankind's actions, that doesn't mean that that's the only way it works. That means that there is still a platform for each, for good and evil, and those are absolutely split between day and night, and the actions are going to play out in those appropriate times. Okay, good? Mm-hmm. Okay, so so this is the time that the actions are going to be effective within that time. And there will be another time that ability will be taken away. It won't be able to. So, for example, if a person is doing something bad, and it's during the day, so that time during the day is not when that choice that person made is going to be effective. That effect is only going to be manifest in the world in the nighttime when the evil is given its opportunity.
Can you give an example of what that would mean?
Is it the next night?
Do I have to be nice or can I be mean?
You can be mean.
Okay, so an example would be, let's say someone comes late to class.
You're talking about you?
No, I'm not talking about anybody. Purely theoretically speaking. Okay, so that
Theoretically,
is...
because it never happens. Right?
Never. So that would be a bad choice because somebody decided probably something along the lines they needed more sleep or something like that, right? Or they needed more water or something, right? Or they're looking for the place.
Looking for their book.
Looking for their book because
Their
they don't
shoes,
really care about it, right?
tea.
So if someone makes a bad choice, then that's going to have a negative effect on the world in some way or another. So what he's saying here is that, generally speaking, that effect is not going to be manifest now. It's only going to happen when evil has its turn. And that turn is at night. It's not during the day.
So if you take that example and
We're going to change the example now.
That is funny.
Good timing.
We're just talking about being late to classes.
No,
don't change the example.
Hold on, Brad. He did tell us he
He
was
said
gonna
a
be late.
Yeah,
he did tell us.
He did.
Yeah, what were you saying?
No, but the funny thing was, is I saw him like in the little crack in the window over there, like walking up as you started the story. So I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
Okay, go ahead.
so in that example, I'm having trouble understanding it from the point of view of, suppose that person is walking, to be to this place, and they're going to be late. But they're walking and they were on time. But they saw a little old lady who needed help crossing the street.
An old lady.
And so then, because of that, that's why they ended up being late.
Yeah.
So then I don't see how that rings true then with what's then going to happen at night. Because the person was ended up tried to be on time. I'm not talking about myself, of course.
Of course.
But they did this good deed, which then made them be late. Doesn't that?
Again, we're talking about bad choices. We're not talking about good choices.
So you're
It's
talking
all-
only about the example when you decided to be late for no good reason.
Correct.
I know, but what if
It's all about
Hashem,
bad choices.
No, what if Hashem said, "No, I'm going to make this person late because."
Again, it's all about bad choices. Was that your choice?
And is it a bad choice to help somebody?
No, I'm asking you, was it your choice? It's all it depends on. It depends on good choices and bad choices. That's all our judgment depends on.
Okay.
Not about effects. The effects are not up to us. It's the choices that's up to us. We try to come on time and the car breaks down, not due to our own negligence. So that's not a bad choice. That's Hashem deciding this is what's supposed to happen now. So you're not held accountable to that. Right? It's all about choices. So if a person made a bad choice, that's going to have a negative effect on the world, and that will manifest at night.
Right, but is it the next night?
Not necessarily. No.
It's whenever Hashem wants to do it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow. So you don't know when... I remember...
No, we certainly don't know.
I just know that in Eretz Yisrael, it's different.
What do you mean?
Because when I make a mistake, I get punished for it, boom, right away. It's a whole different setup than when I moved here. I never know when it's gonna hit me.
I'm not gonna say this in a callous way, but maybe you should go back. No, I'm serious. It's a much better life to live.
No, but who's gonna?
It's a much better life to live.
I'm trying. If you got any ideas, I'll take his
No,
number.
Yeah, but we need Leanne.
we need Leanne here.
Yeah, we need
I don't
Leanne.
say that.
No, you don't. I'll teach somebody else.
Guys, let's think about other people instead of ourselves, okay? No, I mean absolutely. It's certainly a better world to live in if you're more aware of the effects of the things that you do. I mean, no doubt about it. Okay. Good?
Yep.
Okay. Via hazmana l'masha efsher. And this will be a preparation for what is possible. For the whatever the man's choices are going to affect, they will each have their time for that effect to take place. Not thirsty, are you? Some ha'adain baruchu shtei mitziuyais chazakim. Now Hashem established two very powerful realities, shehem, and that they are ha'ar v'chashech, light and dark. And these are products, outgrowths of the light of Hashem shining versus being hidden, which is the platform. Those are the platforms for good and evil in the world. So the light and darkness of the world itself are products of, they're outgrowths of that light and darkness, or light and obscuring of light, I should say, that Hashem uses to make good things happen or allow bad things to happen. So the fact that we have light and dark in the nature of the world, day and night, these are outgrowths of Hashem's running of the world, as we have explained. Good? Okay. V'nasan lahem chelek bizman, and Hashem gave them a portion in time. And these are the day and the night. V'achareihem nimshachem shlitas kochos atuma shezacharnu v'gerusham, and based on those are the powers of tuma that they are going to be manifest during one of those times, and they will be banished during the other. V'hakol hazman l'talas amaisim k'moshe zechanu, and this is all in preparation for the product of the outcomes of mankind's actions, as we have already learned. Okay, pretty straightforward. Got it? All right, next. V'amnam.
Chaim?
Nope. Can't make a little
Just
time
waiting.
water.
Yeah, Chaim and water doesn't really count.
I don't want to drink anymore.
V'hinasein
It's a lot.
shlita zayis al kaycha tzara ha'ela. U'v'yispashta ba'ela. As Hashem has given jurisdiction to these powers of evil, and they're spreading in the world, nimtza chashka shel ha'olam mitzraba u'mitzchazik. So that means that the darkness in the world is increases, and it becomes stronger. V'adam gam hu b'yoseh shechel amitase. So then a person, when he is laying in bed, gam alav ispashtet min hatumah mushotetes. He too will be affected by the spreading of the powers of tumah that come into the world. B'shir shenitala, based on to the degree that is given to that power to manifest, that's the degree to which it does. Based on its relationship to the body of mankind, because of man's physicality and the Yetzer Hara that we have within us. So basically, because of the physicality that we have, and as we've learned, physicality is itself essentially a contradiction to spirituality. So the physicality is the conduit for tumah. That's exactly it. That's where we're going. So the body, the physicality of man, is the conduit for the forces of tumah to manifest, and that's what happens at night. Since at night this tumah is spreading through the world, it's pervasive. So while we are asleep, for sure, and maybe even if we're awake, depending on which opinion you follow, we are subject to that tumah connecting itself to us. And in addition to this, it's already been established in the system of Hashem running the world, that when a person is sleeping, the upper levels of a person's neshama leave him. As we already learned back in section 3. And in that sense, a person tastes a bit of death when he sleeps. That's what our sages tell us. Sleep is a 60th of death. Definitely something to avoid.
Death?
Yeah.
Avoid death?
Or any bit of it. Nimtza, so it comes out that at that time, in the absence of the upper parts of the neshama within the body, and the body itself being physical, because it's missing the light of the neshama that purifies the body. So the tumah has an opening to get in. It has a way to get in and take hold of the body and to really preside there. And this is the meaning of the ruach ra, well, the evil spirit that it's called, that rests on a person's hands when he goes to sleep at night. Which is the idea, as he's about to explain, that we have Netilas Yadayim, we wash Regel Vaser in the morning, because that's able to purify. But why does it happen? So he's explaining, the reason it happens is because the nighttime is the time that the Tumah manifests in the world, and being that we are physical, our bodies are susceptible to that. And the fact that most of the neshama, or the higher elements of the neshama all leave, makes the person lose that protection and become more susceptible to it. So therefore, as we're sleeping at night, we lose that protection. We're subject to that tumah, and that is why we have this ruach ra. He has a funny word here. What does he say? Noxious spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That rests upon a person's hand when he goes to sleep.
And CPAP has no influence on this.
CPAP definitely makes it worse, because if you're sleeping better, that means you're more subject to the tumah. Absolutely, definitely avoid that.
What about if you
Take a
don't
sleeping
sleep through the
tablet.
night?
Let's-
Because I have to sleep and wake up off and on all night.
Yeah, what if you wake up every
What
2
if you
hours
take
and wash your
sleeping
hands
tablets?
every 2 hours?
Okay, so it's a good question. It's a good question. So halachically speaking, it's once a person has what's called a shinas keva, a permanent sleep. It's more of a real sleep, not just a dozing. At that point, they are considered to have this ruach ra on them, and that is, there are a lot of opinions as to exactly how long that is. It's called shita nishman, which means 60 breaths, and the amount of time that takes varies a lot between opinions. The standard that we go with is half an hour. Not that you're only breathing 60 times in half an hour. That wouldn't be good. But it's half an hour. That's what we go with. So if you slept for half an hour, then that's considered a full sleep, and therefore this ruach ra would be present.
I believe it's 60 breaths of a horse. I believe it's.
So let's talk about that. Yeah.
Even during the day?
Oh, so no. So there are different opinions about whether that applies during the day. So
So
according
your afternoon nap doesn't count.
That's
So-
what I'm asking.
right. So
Shabbos
according to the
afternoon.
way Ramchal is saying it, and this is not a halachic work, but the way Ramchal is saying it, it would not apply during the day.
Right.
Halachically speaking, yes, we say it does apply during the day.
But
Not to the
it
same
depends
extent.
where you're sleeping
Not to the same
at night.
extent, but you
Well,
definitely
yeah,
should.
should.
Yeah, because there are opinions who say it's not related to nighttime at all. It's purely based on sleeping.
So when in doubt, wash your hands.
Yes.
Have you ever said if you fall asleep on your chair, you don't have to?
Right. That's not a real sleep according to most opinions. Yeah. Unless that's your sleep for the night. If that is your sleep for the night,
No,
like you're in an
you're
airport
sitting
or
on your
something.
couch and you fall asleep.
Right.
You said a couch is not a makam for shina
Right.
keva.
Right.
Usually a really good sleep. Even if it lasts like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but then you're up half the night.
Okay.
That afternoon nap.
Okay, so now, now, this manifestation of the ruach ra that happens and comes on a person is specific to the hands and nowhere else. Because this is the boundary that Hashem gave that it can spread, not further than that. Because this is the best for a person's situation in the world and for the power of evil in the world. No less and no more. That's exactly what it needs to be, and that's what it is. So, because of that, we wash our hands in the morning. Now, it's important to wash your whole hand to the wrist because that's all part of your hand. And as he says, it's the hand that become tameh, not the rest of your body, so you don't need to wash the rest of your body, but your hands certainly need to be washed, and that goes, again, till the wrist. Now, there are, and I don't know if he goes through more details. He does talk about it more. I don't know if he goes to the details, but there are specific ways it needs to be washed, and you need to use a vessel, and there's laws and rules. And as he said before with Shema and Shemona Esrei, all of these are designed to be the most effective to take care of all these things that they're coming to take care of. So make sure you follow the rules.
So wait, is it twice or 3 times?
3 times on each hand.
Always 3 times?
Washing for bread is 2 times.
This
I
is
did
3
4
times?
I do
Yes. Washing in the morning is 3 times in each hand.
I do 4 times.
Some do 4.
You get extra evil. Yeah. So
The-
what? Oh, sorry. Go
Some
ahead.
people say 4 because they say that the third washing leaves the water that's still on your hands retains a residue of that tumah. So you want to wash it 4 times to get it off. The Vilna Gaon says you don't need to because you're going to dry your hands, so that's going to take it off anyway. So you don't need to. So some do 3, some do 4.
What if you don't have hands?
Then you don't have to worry about it.
So the people in this world who don't have hands,
They don't have it.
they don't have this problem.
This is what he just said. He said that Hashem designed
So if we cut
that
off our
all
hands,
that
then we won't
happens-
have any evil.
No.
We got some other-
No.
I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, yeah.
No, but like,
Might not
Interesting
be there.
logic.
Oh boy.
If a person stays up all night and does not doze at all,
Mhm.
would they still wash their hands in the morning?
Okay, so Dr. K is asking a halachic question. If a person stays up all night and does not sleep, does he need to wash his hands in the morning? So there are two opinions. Some say yes, some say no, and therefore you should, ideally.
So some would say nothing. Some that say just daybreak itself will give you that. And there's
Well, it's the idea of the nighttime, right?
Right.
So he puts both together because they're both elements. Now, halachically, there are two opinions. Does it work with one or with the other or both? So that's why there's different opinions. Okay.
Sana wants to remind us that there's a car wash.
Yes, there is. Please, everybody, support your local
I'm
pure
just gonna
K.
give them money. My car is gonna get. I mean, it's already raining, but I'm just gonna.
They clean the inside. Hello.
Do they really?
In the rain.
Yes.
You did a great
Yes.
job.
Yeah, they've got vacuums and sprays. Yeah, absolutely. They do it right. All right.
You to listen to it.
All right. Let's do one more here. V'hinei.
And Chaim, in lieu of the coffee, I'm going to present just like you can do.
Ah.
Do you want
Kiddush,
something
you
to
can
drink?
do on the
I
roll.
have-
Ah,
I have
okay. There you
drinks.
go.
You need something to drink?
All right, Brad. You're fired.
Chaim.
Oh no.
I did it for you. It's okay. I got you.
All right.
Hine hechina hachachma ha'elyon la'adam. Hashem's divine wisdom has designed for mankind. Mashi yishtadel b'baker, that which he should do in the morning. V'yisraimim mimasha nishpal
Scratching the chair.
b'matzav halayla.
Make her stop. Say no. No. Sorry. I'm sorry. She does it to upset me, and then it upsets me. Yeah, because I painted these chairs myself. Like, I don't want to have to repaint them. I'm gonna have to anyway.
And she scratches it herself.
Did you scratch them first?
She has like 50 of them around. She just uses the chairs.
I have it.
Maybe you should paint the scratching posts,
Maybe,
and she'll use them.
perhaps.
All right.
Sorry.
So, are you done?
No.
Okay, so let me know.
Huh?
What color she likes.
Okay, you done now?
Right color.
No. How about now? No. How about now?
I need to know.
No. All right, I'm done.
Go do some eating.
So, the Yisraelim Masha Nishbal Matzav Halayla. By doing that which Hashem has told us to do, a person can raise themselves up from this low state that we've just described at night. The Tahir Masha Nitma, to purify themselves from the Tumah that came upon them. V'chein Yashu v'Yirayim Ha'olam Kulei b'Masha Nishbal. And not only that, but a person can raise up the entire world from its lowly state that it experienced at night by doing what Hashem told us to do in the morning. And a person, through doing what Hashem says in the morning, can take the world out of its darkness and enlighten the world. All of these ideas are all designed into the halachos that we have for the way we need to conduct ourselves in the morning. The things that we do and the things that we say, as we will explain with Hashem's help soon. So, what he's saying is that all of the halachos that we have for the morning, which we're going to talk about, the things that we need to do with washing our hands and the brachos that we need to say and all that, these are all designed to raise the world up from that lowly state that it was in at night. Certainly the person themselves, but also the world at large. And again, he's just kind of picking out a couple of mitzvahs and showing us how much they affect of our lives and the world at large. You know, we talked about Shema already, we talked about Shema Esrei, we're talking now about the morning things. So his goal here is for us to recognize that every single mitzvah, every halacha, it all is by design. It's there to take care of specific needs of the world and personal, and we should make sure that we stick to them. Alrighty, let's stop here. There we go.
No donut dots for people.
Do we get to the end?
I'll have a question
Can you
about
get to the
washing.
end?